have a spectacular month of co-host. It is Senator Jeff Tarte of District 41. Mr. Tarte, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, neighbor.
This is just evidence you need to be careful what you tell me, because about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, you were on the show and you said as you were leaving, hey, man, if you ever need a co-host, let me know. I'll be more than happy to fill in. And you didn't know I was actually going to call you about that, did you?
Great opportunity. Appreciate having me on the show. We're going to miss Wayne, but hopefully not too much.
Well, he was the only one that prepped for the show. So.
Well, I can say that and pick on Wayne because we're good friends as well.
I can remember Wayne and I talking one time, and I was like, Wayne, man, do you ever stop thinking, man, all you're doing is just worrying all the time? And he looked at me and he said, well, somebody's got to think among us. So.
Well, I'm probably not going to help you much there either.
I know better. My friend, I don't want to get too gooey here, but you are the one person, whether you were mayor or senator, that whenever I called and needed help, questions, or guidance for a small business, you're there for me. I've put on the small business kickoff event every year. This will be the 5th year in a row. Every year you have participated or helped get speakers involved, and now here you are helping me out as a co-host on the show, my friend. I just have to thank you so much for being a part of whenever I need something, you're there to help me, and I appreciate that.
Well, kind words, and the entrepreneurial spirit is kind of in my DNA as well. So as a small business owner as well, it's part of our responsibility to be there to help each other.
Well, and that's really why I wanted you on the show, not because of a senator, although I know we're going to have to talk about some stuff, and there's one topic, if I don't ask you, they're just going to chew me up and spit me out. But you are a business guy in your own right. Let's talk just briefly about, you don't have to go back to 1962, right? But talk a little bit about your business career, because people that don't know you do not realize you have started and own and operate some very successful businesses in your career.
Yeah, most of my background is actually consulting, management consulting, and basically in the healthcare field. So working around hospitals all over the country, starting local and then going. But currently I'm in the middle of 2 startups that one's about 2 years old and one's done research for about 15 years and just ready to go real time. And one does cancer screening through blood tests. And the other company is a water valve company. So we're making, manufacturing, selling, distributing water valves.
Right. And I know that about you, which is why I think we have this connection,
Sure.
When you and I talk. So let's listen, man. I'm sorry. I got to ask this question. I know you're tired of it, but when my
Here it comes.
I know, when my manager put your name on Facebook that you were going to be on the air, I got about 30-something inquiries. Every one of them is he going to talk about I-77? So let's just get it over with and go ahead and tell us what's happening with that.
It's being constructed into a toll road is what's happening to it right now. And we'd actually like to change that long-term direction if we have the ability to do so. One of the things we did this week was a group of other senators and myself taking the initiative have sent a letter to the state auditor to ask her to go through in a detailed review and investigation in the entire RFP process around that project and how that contract was constructed. And then the last thing, at least, and this we just want to make sure it's up on the up and up, as we have a revolving door policy at the state that when you leave, you can't be leaving from an immediate vendor relationship that you were working with, or it's because of your position in the state that allows you to financially gain from doing so. And we're going to check that out to make sure the handful of people that did leave NCDOT did so appropriately.
And as a senator, can you ask that, or request of that, and it has to happen, or is that just you're the start of that process? How does that work?
No, I actually chair the state and local government committee, so I've gotten into a position that gives me the authority to be able to make that request with my other co-chairs.
Right.
And we had actually there's 9 of us total, so the other elected officials that represent this region, I gave them the opportunity to join us in that request, and all of them did. So we've already talked to the state auditor, and she's excited about taking on the challenge.
Let's talk a little bit about your role. This is your second session, correct?
Third.
Third?
I'm getting old.
Yeah, really? Wow.
Third term.
Right. Let's talk about the differences between when you first started and now. What are the changes? Is it
Big change? I thought I knew everything day two. Now I realize I know nothing. So I think part of it's learning how the process works. I was kind of familiar, having been a mayor and interacting with Raleigh a little bit, and then my family background, my dad was an elected official. But part of it's building relationships. It's just like business. It's just like church. It's just like the Boy Scouts. Legislature is about relationships and being able to cooperate and work together, come up with good ideas that you think will benefit the majority and the public. And I get focused a lot on the business issues. We're going to be having a guest here later on today that's a business owner that's trying to expand here locally, and there's permitting rules and things like that we have to deal with to enable them. There's some state statutes that impact his business. So those are ways we can help entrepreneurs flourish. And in a sense, maybe the best thing is how we help them get out of the way of business owners so they can grow their businesses, create jobs, and do the things they do so well.
And I don't want to get into talking about national politics, but one of the things that Trump did I just adore is when he signed the regulation executive order where if you add one, you got to take two off. As a small business guy, I love that.
Well, and that's an old cliche. We've been talking about doing that for a long time. So it's good things. And we'll get off national politics quickly, but obviously I'm biased. The one thing I think that will have an impact for so many people for so long is his nominee for the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And Neil Gorsuch is going to be just simply an outstanding. He was unanimous confirmation for the appellate court, so he's well respected. That'll be a good thing.
So kind of give me a few priorities that you have in the Senate now that you're working on.
Well, one is we're working on this with the craft brewers throughout the state, which again, we're going to talk a little bit. Now we have something called a 3-tier system, and we have a limit on the small business craft brewers on how much they can produce in a year. And we're going to try to address that so these businesses can flourish. Right now, a lot of people don't understand that of all the beer produced in North Carolina, only 4% of it's actually made in state. And we want to see that number change. And it impacts our tax revenues because you're looking at an environment where the beer that's produced by our local craft brewers, we keep 75% of that tax revenue.
Yeah.
When it's the large companies and the international companies, 90% of it leaves the state.
And you've been working on this for years. I remember you being on the show a year or two ago, and I told you this was a stupid thing for the brewers have to deal with anyways.
Well, one of my favorite sayings after, I guess, right into the middle of my second term is to realize there's an endless supply of stupid in state government.